Some nice news. We have a special guest talk at the end of the service, and I want to welcome a couple of people who are here for the first time. Three very nice young people. Not to embarrass you, Julie, okay? But Julie and Matthew and Chris, who are here, please make them welcome. And at the end of the service, please show them where the goodies are, okay? Because Kathy brought a nice coffee out. Well, thank you. Kathy, I never asked the question. I'm going to need it for later. What is the name of your dog again?
My dog?
Your dog.
Han Solo.
I get what I asked for. All right. This is not going to be one of your happy, full of yucks, joyful sermons. I hope at the end of it, I give you something to think about. If it makes you angry at the end of it, you're angry at me, then I've even done my job better. Okay? Because it's one of those messages where even if someone were to rise from the dead, we don't want to hear it. But I will share it with you. Jesus is a marvelous teacher. He's a rabbi. And great teachers tell stories. So he tells a story to make a point. Now let me give you the summary of the story in 3 simple lessons so that when you walk out of here, if someone asks you, what did he talk about this morning, you can give them this in 3 lines, okay? Jesus once told a story about a rich guy. He ate well, he dressed well, and he went to hell. It's funny unless you're the rich guy. Okay? How many of you were old enough from either Sunday school or catechetics where you were taught that the rich man had a name and his name was either, depending upon how you were taught to pronounce it, either Dives or Dives? Anyone here old enough to remember that? This is the second time this week I've been done in by my age. Well, anyway, I was taught that as a kid. And then I actually believed that until I finally started studying the scriptures, and you find out later that when St. Jerome was translating the scriptures from the original Greek language into Latin, the Latin word for rich guy is Dives, or pronounced properly, Dives, okay? So if we were translating this properly, the way I would have been taught it, the way I would have heard it, if I heard it accurately, Jesus once told a story of a poor man named Lazarus and a rich guy named Rich Guy. Thank you. I want him back.
Amen.
And he tells this story this way. He says, there was once a rich guy who dressed in the best of clothes, purple and fine linen, which incidentally was the way the high priest of the Jerusalem temple dressed. So use your imagination. Maybe somebody's walking in the background, and he makes the point. Okay? We are told this guy feasted in luxury. Interesting word for feasted. He worked hard at eating. He ate nothing but gourmet food, exotic and costly dishes, and he did this every day. Every word in this is really important in the story. He ate so much of so much good food that literally he broke one of the commandments, because keeping holy the Sabbath means no work. He ate so hard he worked at it. That's how much he ate. That's how much he had. In a culture where normal people, the working poor, were lucky if they got one decent meal a week, maybe with meat. In that culture, this person has everything. He is the poster child of self-indulgence. And in a time when people didn't have knives and forks, utensils, how did they eat? You all know this. Come on, you've seen enough bad biblical movies. Go ahead.
Hands.
They ate with their hands. And then to wash your hands, clean your hands, you would basically take a piece of bread, break off the crust, and when you threw it the bread, you just threw it, you know? You threw it out because it was useless. And then we are told that there is a person in the story whose name was Lazarus. Again, one of those curiosities. Of all the stories Jesus tells that the 4 Gospels remember, this is the only one he gives a name to. Lazarus is an alternate form of the name Eleazar, which means God is my help, because no one else is. The only one who notices him is God himself. He is a beggar covered in sores and ulcers. He is so helpless that he can't even keep the dogs off the street from coming up to him. And I'm not talking about Abby and Han Solo, little, the friendly little house pets we have. We're talking about the street dogs of the 1st century who run wild, who are closer to coyotes, who are licking him now until the day that he can't fight them off anymore, and then he becomes their meal. So let me ask the question, and this is where I want you to kind of focus. As Jesus tells the story, why does the rich guy end up in hell? What did he do wrong? He doesn't order him thrown out of the house or around the property, unlike some of our churches do to the homeless, at least once upon a time they did. He doesn't object to the guy who ate the discarded pieces of bread. He doesn't walk over him and kick him or step on him or spit on him. He doesn't order a wall to be built to keep him out. What does he do? And the point is, he doesn't do anything. He never noticed him. This poor guy was invisible. He noticed him as part of the landscape. He just accepted that it's natural and it's inevitable, that there are some people who are just going to be poor, and we just have to deal with that. And I'll tell you a story that happened in this church. It happened a couple of years ago. And I am not making fun of our children. I love our teens, and I'm not going to out the kids out, okay? But there was a Sunday here where a gentleman who was homeless came in and was actually here. And we had two teenagers, the first Sunday of the month. We had two teenagers who were ushers. We had one who was serving and one who was reading. So I asked him in confirmation class the next Monday, did you notice the person who walked in? Not one of them did. To them, he was invisible. Okay? And I'm not making fun of our kids, and I'm even bracketing this within the context of their adolescents that tuning church out anyway. Okay? Even accepting that as a truth. He was invisible. So I asked a parent of one of them when they came to pick up the kids. And the parent didn't either. So before we condemn the person in the story, think about that. It's a simple teaching, all right? We look at people with suffering and feel nothing, no pity, no grief, no compassion. We don't notice them. Jesus says, you can do that, but there will be consequences. If we're filled with the truth of God's word, if we look around us, notice the faces of the people in this room, and then notice the faces of the people you work with, the people you travel on the bus with, or in your car with, or with me on the subway with. There is sorrow to be comforted, there is need to be supplied, there is pain to be relieved. If we see nothing and feel nothing, we will do nothing and nothing will change. And there is no other way of putting that. The lot of the person sent to eternal torment is not that he was evil. He felt nothing at all. Are we any better? Amen.
Amen.